Hello students, today we are going to see the ninth episode of the lesson electrostatics. Shall we move to the lesson? Now let's move to the applications of Gauss law. Gauss law is a very important one and usually you can expect in all examinations the terms about Gauss law. If you understand Gauss law, then you will have a very soft touch over the applications in electrostatics and electric fields. Now let's see the expression for electric field due to an infinitely long charged wire. What do you mean by infinitely long charged wire? See, this is the picture and I will show this is an infinitely long charged wire, and some of you Vamana Avadaram in Hindu culture, they used to say Perumal take a Vamana Avadaram. That Vamana Avadaram means you cannot see the end and you cannot see the start. That's mean by Vamana Avadaram. Like this, it's a infinitely long charged wire. You cannot find the initial position and you cannot find the final position. Now, but if it is like that, a long charged wire, you cannot find the electric field in that infinitely long charged wire. So we used to take that as a closed cylindrical shaped nature. Okay, we used to take as a the surrounding as a cylindrical shape, and that cylindrical shape we used to take only a small part to be for the experiment. Okay, we will take only this small part as an experiment. The length is L. That means the total the cylinder have the length L, and the distance from the wire to the electric field is R. Okay, now let's move to the answers. Consider an infinitely long straight wire which having a uniform linear charge density. This wire has a uniform linear charge density lambda. Let P be a point located at a perpendicular distance r from the wire. Let P be a point which is perpendicular distance from the wire. Let us choose a cylindrical Gaussian surface. This surface around the long charged wire is called Gaussian surface of radius r and length L. As shown in the figure, the electric flux in this closed surface is calculated. Now we have to calculate the electric flux. That means the electric fields move towards this area. We have to calculate the electric flux. Now electric flux is equal to pi E is equal to closed integral of E dA. That already we derived. See, only one change. The curved surface is divided into two things. First one is top surface, this top surface, and another one is this bottom surface. There are two surfaces, different surfaces. So we have to add all these things with the curved surface. This is equation number 1. Then the electric flux through the top and bottom surface is 0. Okay, the electric flux through the top and bottom surface is 0. Like we already learned that top and bottom is 0 in the Now pi top is equal to pi bottom is equal to 0. Okay, axial line and equator line, we also come across this top and bottom which kept 0. Now applying Gauss law to the cylindrical surface, we have pi E is equal to integral of curved surface E dot dO is equal to Q enclosed by epsilon 0. This is the Gauss law statement, which is considered as a equation number 2 here. Since the magnitude of the electric field of the entire curved surface is constant, E is taken out of the integration. Okay, we are taking the E out of the integration, and Q enclosed is given by Q enclosed is equal to lambda L, because it is a uniform linear charge density. Now we can substitute E out of the integral, and integral curved surface dA is equal to lambda L by epsilon naught. This is the equation number 3. But pi E is equal to curved surface integral dA. The total area of the curved surface is 2 pi RL. We can substitute, instead of dA, we can substitute 2 pi RL. Substituting pi E is equal to 2 pi RL in equation 3, we get E dot 2 pi RL, which is equal to lambda L by epsilon naught. If you keep the E here and bring the 2 pi RL down, then this L and L can be cancelled. So 1 by 2 pi epsilon naught into lambda by R. In vector form, E vector is equal to 1 by 2 pi epsilon naught lambda by R into R cap. And this is equation number 4, and this is considered as the equation number 5. Now equation 5, that means E is equal to 1 by 2 pi epsilon naught lambda by R is considered, which is considered, and it is indicates that the electric field is always along the perpendicular direction, okay, to the wire. If lambda is greater than 0, then E points perpendicularly outward from the wire, and if lambda is less than 0, E points perpendicularly inward. The second one, expression for application of Gauss law. Second one, expression for electric field due to charged infinite plane sheet. Let me show a charged infinite plane sheet. See, this is a charged infinite plane sheet. Here we use a rod which have two ends. Okay, this is considered as P dash and this is considered as P dash, 2 points P. But in the long charged wire, infinitely charged wire, we have only one P. Here P dash and P, and the area also considered to be in the two sides. Consider an infinite plane sheet of charges with uniform surface charge density. Okay, here we consider uniform surface charge density, which is sigma. Let P be the point at a distance r from the sheet as shown in the figure. A cylindrical shaped Gaussian surface of length 2r and area A of the flat surface is chosen such that the infinite plane sheet passes perpendicularly through the middle part of the Gaussian surface. This is the middle part of the Gaussian surface. Okay, but here we have 2 points. One is P dash, another one is P. Applying Gauss law to the cylindrical surface. We are applying the Gauss law to this cylindrical surface, and we get pi E is equal to closed integral E dot dA, which is equal to closed curved surface of integral curved surface of E dot dA vector plus P E dot dA vector plus integral P dash E dot dA, and all are equal to Q enclosed into epsilon naught. Q enclosed to epsilon naught. Now, the electric flux through the curved surface. We are going to see the electric flux through the curved surface. Pi curve is equal to integral E dot dA, which is equal to integral E dot dA cos 90 degree is equal to 0. And the electric field is perpendicular. Okay, in this term, the electric field is perpendicular to the area element at all the points on the curved surface and parallel to the surface areas at P and P dash. Then pi E is equal to integral P E dot dA plus integral P dash E dot dA, which is equal to Q enclosed by epsilon naught. Since the magnitude of the electric field at these two equal surfaces is uniform, E is taken out of the integration. We can take the E out, and Q enclosure is given by Q enclosure is equal to sigma A, and substituting all this in the equation, we get 2E into integral P dA, which is equal to sigma A by epsilon naught, because we substitute Q instead of Q enclosure, we substitute sigma A and we take out the 2E. So we have to integral only the dA, and instead of P and P dash, we take P commonly for this. Now the total area of the surface, either P or P dash, anything, but it's in integral P, which is equal, dA is equal to A. If you substitute that value, 2EA is equal to sigma A by epsilon naught, and if you substitute the values, if you cancel the value of this A and this A, then we have E is equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught. In vector form, E vector is equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught into n cap. Here n cap is the outward unit vector normal to the plane. Okay, it is a outward unit vector normal to the plane. The electric field will be same at any point which is further away from the charge plane, and sigma, if sigma is greater than 0, the electric field at any point P is outward perpendicular to the plane, and if sigma is less than 0, the electric field point inward perpendicularly, that means minus n to the plane. Now the third one, expression for electric field due to uniformly charged spherical shell. Consider a uniformly charged spherical shell of radius r and total charge q as shown in the figure. Let me show the figure. See, this is like, consider this as like a earth. Okay, this is the center position and the charge q is inside. Okay, this is the outer side of the earth. That means this small capital R is the radius of the earth, and this is the small r, and the point P denotes that the satellite away from the earth. Okay, I think now you can understand easily. The case A, at a point outside the shell, which is r is very much greater than small r is very much greater than capital R. Now let us choose a point P outside the shell at the distance r from the center. Here this is small r. Hence the electric field must point radially outward. That means q is greater than 0 and point radially inward if q is less than 0. Let r be the radius of the Gaussian surface and total charge enclosed by this charge surface is q. While applying Gauss law for this, we get closed integral of Gaussian surface E dot dA is equal to q into epsilon naught, which is considered as the equation number 1. Then hence E enclosed by the closed Gaussian surface dA, which is equal to q by epsilon 0, but we know the closed integral of Gaussian surface dA is equal to total Gaussian surface. So total Gaussian surface means, which is considered as a sphere, so we put 4 pi r square. Substituting this 4 pi r square instead of this closed integral Gaussian surface dA in equation 2, we get E into pi r square is equal to q by epsilon naught. E into pi r square equal to q by epsilon naught, or E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square, and in vector form E vector is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 q by r square into r cap, which is considered as the equation number 3. The electric field is radially outward if q is, that means the charge enclosed is greater than 0, and radially inwards if the charge enclosed is less than 0. From equation number 3, we infer that the electric field at a point outside the shell will be same as if the entire charge q is concentrated at the center of the spherical shell. Sometimes we may be understand that if the electric field is at a point outside the shell, then the electric charge will be differ, but it's not like that. The electric field will be remain same even it is outside the shell. Second one, case B. At a point on the surface of the spherical shell, which is capital R is equal to small r, the electrical field at point on the spherical shell small r is equal to capital R is given by E vector is equal to q by 4 pi epsilon 0 capital R square into small r cap. Now the third one, case C. At a point inside the spherical shell, R is less than small r. Consider a point P inside the shell at a distance r from the center. That means we are moving deep into the surface. Okay, consider that we are digging a like a polar field. We are moving straight away into the earth's surface. Here also we consider that spherical shell is moving inside. A Gaussian sphere of radius r is constructed as shown in the figure. Now applying Gauss law, closed integral of Gaussian surface E dot dA is equal to q by epsilon 0, and E dot 4 pi r square is equal to q by epsilon 0, which is considered as equation number 1. Since the Gaussian surface encloses no charge, q is equal to 0. So the equation 1 becomes E is equal to 0 and small r is less than capital R. The electric field due to the uniformly charged spherical shell is 0 at all points inside the shell. Students, thank you. Study well, it's very important.